Hi everyone, I'm Denisha Devnarayan, and you're watching the Full Quota podcast on One World Sports Radio.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. There wasn't a lot of cricket, South African cricket this week because Division 2 games last week were postponed because of the Omicron virus. So Tim and I were trying to figure out what we're going to do this week, and then lo and behold, CSA and BCCI give us a gem to talk about today. We're going to talk about the recent squad announcements. You can see in the heading of this show, the recent squad announcement for both teams. So now the tour that was up in the air has now landed. But before we talk about that, please remember to follow us on the One World Sports Radio YouTube channel. Tweet us at One World Sports Radio. You can even put in the comments there because we are live right now, so we can discuss and have a chat. We're discussing all things in this test series. Well, the test series squads, and figure out who's there, who's not there, why are some people there. I'm going to go through a lot of that. One thing I need to note is we're still running the competition with Classic Shirts ZA for that lovely 1999 Manchester United shirt. Tomorrow is the final day. So if you want to go there and check it out to our Instagram page, follow those instructions, and you could be a winner of a 1999 Manchester United jersey. I'm an Arsenal fan. I can't do that. Tim's a Liverpool fan. He can't do that. But we've got friends. And I've told all my friends who support Manchester United, they've all entered. And we will decide on a winner tomorrow. And we'll probably post the pictures of us delivering it to the winner and announcing that as well with Classic Shirts ZA. So that's the one thing. Tim, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Before we get into all this drama that is going to unfold in the next month and a half.
I'm good. As you say, it was a quiet start to the week from a cricket point of view, but as you say, we've got a blockbuster of news with both the squads. But yeah, I'm good. Yeah, can't complain, dude. I'm all good. All good.
You're all good. So Tim, we didn't know what we were going to talk about this week, and then we were gracefully given an opportunity on Tuesday. We didn't want to go on Tuesday. Wanted to let it simmer a little bit, think about some of the selections, and then come today, and then let's have a discussion about the squad, right? First things first, just so everyone knows, we've got 3 test series between South Africa and India. They'll be live on One World Sports Radio, so you can follow us, or live watch-alongs, digital audio commentary, so no live pictures. Don't ask us about live pictures. Just listen to us, have a conversation with us. You can watch your TV and listen to us discuss and have a conversation. It's beautiful. Please do join us for these games. 3 test series, Tim, Centurion, Wanderers in Cape Town. How do you feel about the schedule first up?
Well, for once, we're not giving the advantage to the opposition. For far too long in recent years, we've said to the opposition, "Where would you like to play?" Okay, we'll play there. That's fine. We've picked 2 of the 3 grounds that we absolutely must play a team like India, the team with the faster tracks up north, and then our sort of a very successful home in Newlands, which might favour India a little bit, but by then hopefully the series will be done and dusted.
Yes, we hope so. But Indian fans will tell you that, hey, last time we came here, we beat you at the Wanderers. I think the last 2 times India have played at the Wanderers, they've beaten us, which is a problem, number one. I remember the Srishan game, and then Burma went lights out at the Wanderers. Then they'll say, okay, fine, we'll give you Centurion. We won't give you the Wanderers because clearly we're unbeaten at the Wanderers this last decade. But Newlands looks more like Durban a couple of years ago than it does the northern pitches. So India could even come with the 2 spinners, and we're going to talk about that. But let's start with the squad. And then we're going to go through like who your what you're thinking about the 11. So the squad for the South African team right now is Dean Alger, the captain, Temba Bavuma, vice captain. You've got Quinny de Kock, Kagiso Rabada, Sadal Advia, Bian Hendricks, George Linda, Keshav Maharaj, Lungin Giti, Aidan Markram, Vian Mulder, Anut Nokia, Keegan Peterson, Rassi van der Dissen, Carl Verena, Marco Janssen, Clinton Steelman, Prenelin Subrian, Susanna Magala, Ryan Rickleton, and Duan Olivier. Tim, looking at this squad, I'm going to play an interesting game right now, Tim. Happy? Oh, no. Firstly, let's talk about this. The length of the squad, Tim. Length of the squad. 21 players. When we went to the West Indies, we only took 17. What's the rationale behind? What do you think the rationale is behind having a 21-man squad?
It's simply COVID. It's simply the situation where we're at. Whether through bad form or injury, these are the players that are going to play the series. We cannot fly somebody in from Durban to come and play who's outside of the squad. So the players that are there, all are going to be, they are the players that we can pick. We can pick 21. So that is why it's a bit bigger. We are in the situation with COVID that they are generally bigger, but it's because we can't get anybody in. It's going to be a tight bubble. That's why it's even bigger than the normal circumstances.
But Tim, when we went to the West Indies, we only went to 17. So why do we have?
Well,
I understand a 17-man squad, but 21 is just a little bit too much.
The other thing is they were, and I actually don't understand why they didn't adjust this. So we adjusted the schedule because of the COVID situation. So India are coming a week later than they were normally originally. We were normally going to have an inter-squad game, which was another reason why we had 21 players. But because of the schedule change, there's not going to be any inter-squad game. The team are going to meet on the 18th for a camp. Oh, Cricket South Africa love their camps. And do all their bits and bobs and whatever, have their chit-chats. But there's not going to be no game. So when they knew that there was going to be no game, I don't understand why they've added on 3 or 4 guys who we know they are not going to play unless there's a raft of injuries.
Let's go through the squad, and we'll discuss those guys who might not get a game, and maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. But the one area for me that disappointed me is that if you're not going to have the inter-squad game, why are you carrying 21 players? Largely because, as a Lions supporter, can you please give me back Sisanda Magala and Ryan Rickleton for the 19th at Newlands, unless if we're no longer having those games. But right now, the Lions are left with Luto Supamla, who also, you could say, should be in the squad. But let's talk about that now. Let's play a game called Happy, Surprised, and Disappointed. Tim, I'm going to ask you to tell me who you're happy with in the squad, who you're surprised by their selection, and who you're disappointed with. And that's going to be obviously the guys who are either not here or guys you are like, but guys, that ship has sailed. So let's start with the guys you are happy with, Tim. Who are you happy to see in the squad?
Let's get the obvious one out the way. I am absolutely delighted that Tuan Olivier is in the squad. His numbers suggest that he should have been there. He's a much better bowler. So I'm obviously delighted. I'm also very happy to see Ryan Rickleton in there. I am hearing that they are thinking of more of a middle order batsman. So if somebody in the middle order has a tough series or gets injured, that he might come in the middle order. So you might have thought, well, why is there 3 wicket keepers? It's because Ryan is actually going to be the backup middle order batsman. So
Tim, hold up there. I was hearing that Quinton de Kock's wife is expecting a child in this period up until test match number 3. So he could possibly miss 2 of those test matches or just 1. And so in the case where, let's say, we go with the 11 that we worked with in the Caribbean, where Carl Verena is not seen as a backup wicketkeeper, but Ryan is seen as a backup wicketkeeper. Ryan Rickleton could make his debut at the Wanderers or even at Newlands as the backup wicketkeeper with Kyle and Keegan Peterson and Rassie in that middle order. And if you want to September because of whatever choice you are. So there is an argument, but we will see with the conversations, who is the backup wicketkeeper here? Is Kyle there as a middle order bat, or is Ryan being used as a middle order batsman as a wicketkeeper in that Quinton de Kock role that's like slightly an all-rounder?
Yeah, no, you make a good point. That is true. That Quinton de Kock is going to miss at least one of the second or third test match. That you're right. You're absolutely right. So then they do have a cover for. They effectively have two keepers. Then they can decide which way they want to go. In terms of the happy. Okay, I think that's pretty much. I know Sarwell. I'm glad Sarwell. I was a little bit worried about Sarwell. He was sort of getting starts for SAA without kicking on, and I was getting a little bit worried there. Particularly where Peter Malan was scoring runs at the beginning of the SAA series, but Sarwell has made it count when it mattered on pitches that were at the back end of the series, which were more favourable to the bowlers. He's chipped in. I think he made 97 today. I'm stoked for him. We are moving on to.
No, just wait. Let me give you what my happy was. So I'm happy, largely with your ones, Duan, Ryan, Sadal, well done. Like the runs you scored this week showed us, and last week showed us that you're the backup, you're the incumbent. The ones I was happy with are Glenton Steelman. I think Glenton can compete with Lungi Ngidi for that third seamer spot, largely because they're a similar style, and I think Lungi needs competition for his place as the swing seam bowler in the side, with Kagiso and Anoch having cemented that. And I think Glenton gives us sends us back into the times when Vern made his mark in that last decade, with Vern dominating so much. I'm happy to see Carl and Keegan back in the squad. Carl hasn't been in the runs. Keegan has scored a couple of half centuries, but there was a question as to what that middle order was going to look like if you were going to let go of the guys from the Caribbean and go with new guys. So I'm happy with those two. And one other person, and I'm in between happy and surprised, because I didn't expect the call up, because I didn't think we were going to go with like all the spinners in the world. But I'm happy that Prenelin Subrian has gotten recognition for his work as a right-hand off-spin bowler. I know you want Simon Harmitam. I know that. But I think Subrian has, for the past 4 seasons, has been the number one right-arm off-spinner in the country. He's done really well. He's been up there in the wicket charts behind Linda and Maharaj. So I was happy for that, but it was also a bit of a surprise. We'll talk about surprises. What were your surprises here, Tim?
Again, this could have been in the happy category, but it's the Marco Janssen selection. I think that selection is huge, and I do think that the A series. I think he was always around. And it's always likely to come in at some stage, but probably later in the summer. But I just think that what he was able to achieve, the bounce at the pace that he was getting in Bloemfontein, I think that just said to the selectors, you know what, this guy's got something. This guy's got something special, something that the other pacers don't necessarily have, apart from the fact that he's extremely tall.
And he's a left-arm seamer.
It's a left-arm seamer, but he gets the ball to bounce of a good length. He doesn't need to bang it in short to get the ball rowing up towards the batsman's shoulders. Who else am I? I'm surprised, but I must say, I'm surprised by the Prendelin Subrian selection. I'm very, very surprised. although what you say is right, and in terms of if you go back further, he's not in form at the moment. He hasn't got a wicket. Okay, it's only 2 matches, but in the 4-day series, he hasn't got a wicket. Nothing for 137. And I just wondered if you're going to say to Sarwell, you're the wrong side of 30, but we still want you. We're going to say to Bian Hendricks, you're the wrong side of 30, but we're still going to pick you. I wonder if they should have gone with no, not Simon Harmer. Although stats in the right at the end suggest that maybe
or Sean von Berg.
Von Berg. I just wonder,
Yes.
because of something different, a proper wrist spinner, I just wonder if they maybe missed the trick there. Brian on current form, I don't get it. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's pretty much.
So that's where my issue lies with the Subrian pick, because I see George Linder there, and I know George Linder's there as like an all-round option, because last season he was averaging 50 for the Cobras. Him and Verena were like the only guys scoring runs on that team, and so he's my other surprise. I think I sat there going, but like, what is George Linder's role in the side? Is he a backup to Keshav? Okay, fine. If he is a backup to Keshav, that's okay. But is he the correct backup to Keshav? And then the question comes in. That brings in Subrian, but Subrian's in the squad. But as you question rightly, Sean von Berg. But the only other issue I could say, the reason why Sean von Berg is not here, is that just like South Africa ever since I've watched South African cricket, wrist spinners are not respected in the longer format of the game. Somebody actually mentioned that maybe Tabraiz Shamsi should be here. And I'm like, yes, but the way in which CSA see a Tabraiz Shamsi is that he's more of a limited overs bowler, but the more orthodox left arm finger spinners, right arm finger spinners, they're the ones who are coming out, which I think is moving backwards. And so I think Sean would be rightly angry right now. I'd be pissed, because I'd be like, dude, give me my opportunity, because he's I think he's, after Keshav, he's the number one wicket taker from a spinning perspective in the past 4 or 5 years in 4-day cricket. So I know Subrian does it well, and Subrian's up there as well, and George is up there too. But that was my one question. The other surprise for me was also Marco Janssen, largely because from a timeline perspective, and it's more of a happy surprise, not a bad surprise. I think he's probably taken a massive leap in his development. But the question for me was, when I saw his name, is he at that level? In a 21-man squad, yes. In a 17-man squad, I'd say no. But the surprise for me, and we're going to lead to the disappointments, and I'll start with my disappointments, Bian Hendricks. I love the guy. I think he's a great domestic bowler, but I think at the national level, especially in 4-day cricket, it may be a bridge too far. And the question I want to know from the selectors, and that's where my disappointment was, I understand Bian is there, he's got the experience. What's the reasoning behind him being there? Is it because you trust him? Because the last time we played Test cricket at home that he played in his debut, Faf showed us he doesn't trust him. He never gave him any help. Yes, he took 5 wickets and that was great. But then the series after that, he wasn't necessarily selected. His form doesn't look that great. And even at Western Province this season, he hasn't had like a breaking door down season compared to Marco Janssen. And so for me, that was the one. The other disappointment, as Werner says, is Luto Supamla. If we have a 21-man squad, and these are the guys you have there, that's the one I want to know. The other question, which is also a bit of a surprise, is Sisanda Magala. What's the thinking around Sisanda? I know Sisanda's had a great start to the season, but Tim, you are the one who says that Lions attack is Duan. But Sisanda's a really great change bowler. And I get the fact that if in a 21-man squad, yes, maybe between Sisanda and Luto, I would go with Luto from the Lions over Sisanda. So the question is, obviously, Sisanda and Bian, I understand how great Sisanda is as a limited overs bowler, but from a 4-day format, from a 5-day format, a red ball format, he's a great domestic bowler. But at that step up, I'm not so sure. I'd rather try Luto in the spot. He's a lot younger. He's got a little bit more pace. Sisanda bowls a heavy ball, which generates a lot of pace, and I love that about him. But I'm not sure if this. I don't know what the selectors are saying about this call up, and that's for me. Like I look at Glenton Steedman. Glenton Steedman's call up is we're looking for you towards the future. You give us a valued another option in terms of swing and seam. Duan is we've picked you because you're that because of your form. Sisanda's form is great, but is Sisanda the guy who will compete with the other bowlers here to break down the door and make it into that nationals, into that 3-4 fast bowling quartet? I'm not so sure. Same thing with Bian Hendricks. What are you saying to us by picking him? Are you picking like what was the thinking? Because Bian's not going to play, similar to Sisanda. Glenton might play if you rotate your bowlers. Marco Janssen might play if you rotate your bowlers because he gives you something different. If let's say you play at the Wanderers and you're looking for a fourth bowler and there's an injury, I get that. But then after that, you've got Sisanda and you've got Bian, and you're sitting there going, what value? I get there's value maybe in Sisanda being in the test squad, but as you say, Tim, you say they're all on the wrong side of 30. What value does Bian get? What value does Sisanda get being in this setup? I get from a limited overs format, yes, but I'm not too sure about in the test series. And so that's where my surprise, my disappointment, because I kind of feel as though Sisanda's your limited overs bowler. He's the best death bowler in the country. The other person who would feel hard done by is Lazard Williams. He had a great season last year for the Titans. So that's where my thing is. I think after Marco and Glenton and Duan, after that, I'm just like, okay, so where are we going with some of these selections? From a youth perspective, I get Sisanda's on form, but everything else, it doesn't make sense. And that's where my disappointments come in here. The other disappointment for me is why do we not have Dwayne Pretorius in the squad as a backup all-rounder to Bian Mulder? If Bian gets injured, how's the balance of the side going to work? You're not going to play George Linder and drop Kesha, are you? Like, I don't see that, and that's where I'm at. Tim, where are your disappointments?
Right, exactly where you are. Exactly where you are. I don't understand. For starters, I don't understand how Bian Hendricks still has a central contract. Like the guy, I think is a good first class cricketer. He's a bit like Dane Patterson in that way. Gives 100%, does his bit, does it well, but it's just not that level. He's not that level. He is a very good first-class cricketer. I don't understand his selection at all. It doesn't make sense to me. I would much rather, as you say, had a Lazard Williams, somebody who's young and up-and-coming through the system. I actually think that we've got too many pace bowlers. So you could have actually said, to Bian Hendricks, out you go, in comes Hamza. Now, it could be anybody. I'm just using him because he's back in form, doing the runs. I actually think Hamza is better scoring runs elsewhere for now, and we'll see him in the rest of the summer, particularly the white ball stuff. I think you might see him in the white ball series. But I don't understand the Bian Hendricks. I don't understand the Magala selection. I know Posada said that he is ready to go and his fitness is up there. But he also said a very strange quote, which I read in an article. He said, I don't understand how fitness trumps talent. I thought, well, of course it does. Of course it does. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You've got to be 100% fit. And Magala, in the past, has had a problem with fitness.
But it's not as though it's put him off the field. My argument with Sisanda is he top 5 bowlers in the red ball format or even top 6 in South Africa? And I don't think he is.
No.
I don't think he is. And you can argue Marco Janssen and Sisanda for that 6th spot. And Bian, we've got 7 bowlers. Buren's the seventh guy because you've got Lungi and KG. Well, not in that order, but after that, it's Duan, Glenton fighting for 4 and 5. And then you've got 6, 7, and 8 being Marco Janssen, Sisanda Magala, and Bian Hendricks. We both agree that Bian Hendricks is not there. But you need somebody who is top five, who can crack into this thing. Not everyone's like, there's no way South Africa's going to play one of those games outside of injury without KG and Anna. So effectively, it's that Lungingidi spot. And if you want to play another Seamer at the Wanderers, Vian Mulder's there already. So you may even still try to keep Keshav as a backup to take wickets on the final day. So I don't get where, as a selection committee, you're sitting there and you're looking at Sisanda and Buren, who are on the other side of 30, the right side of 30, because I'm on that right side of 32. And you're sitting there going, where are they going to give you? Because we can all agree that Glenton and Duan are better than them. And it's not a talent thing. It's an ability thing. It is a talent thing. Sorry. It's not a fitness thing. It's an ability thing. And it's a numbers thing. So I'm happy with Sisanda getting the call-up. I was ecstatic. But then the question was, as people are saying, no, but everybody must get a chance to play. You can't have everyone get a chance to play. So where's Sisanda going to fit in on all of this? This is not
school sports day. This is professional cricket.
Which is why maybe my answer would be, okay, fine. Yes, it's a bubble. Take 6 bowlers. Who are your 6 bowlers, your 6 quicks that you want in the squad? You've got your 3 already, Lungi, Anna, KG. You've brought in Duan. You've also brought in Glenton Steelman, right? Pick somebody. Marco, Sisanda, or Buren. And based on how Marco bowls as a left-arm seamer, his height, and everything else, I'd actually go with Marco Janssen. Doesn't say that he's better than Sisanda or Buren. Saying at this point in time, the style of bowling that this team, the 5 that already have, I would want a left-arm seamer. So that we talk about they give variety. Well, essentially that's what I'm asking for. And the fact of the matter is, what are we trying to say? Like, Sisanda is great. Does he have a pathway into the Proteas side? I don't think so. Are you going to take Sisanda to the UK in the test for that UK test? No, but you took Marco Janssen to the West Indies. And you also took him to Pakistan. So you've told us you see Marco Janssen as a better bowler than Buren and Sisanda. So just do that. But and so that's where my thing is, like, this thing of giving guys free caps and stuff like that. You'd rather be upfront with guys and tell them where they are. Like, what are you telling Sisanda coming into to camp for the test side? What card are you going to play? Are we okay with Sisanda starting? I am. I'd be excited to watch Sisanda open to start for the Proteas at Centurion. But is that a realistic call? And so that's where my apprehension, my disappointment comes in. Is like, guys, some of the guys you should be letting go. You should be, letting go. And Buren is one of those guys. Sisanda's window is still open if there's a lot of injuries. But his window is in the limited over stuff. He's the best bowler in the country. He can fight for the top 3 bowling spots as a limited overs bowler, as a white ball bowler. He's not going to fight for it as a red ball. And we're okay with it. And we're comfortable with it. And I'm happy with it. But that's what it is. From a batting perspective, Tim, we haven't spoken about that a lot. What does your middle order look like at Centurion?
Yeah, it's So it's Peterson, Rassie, Pavuma. That's my middle order.
So you start with Dean, you go with Aiden. It's KP, Rassie at 4, Temba at 5. Your number 6 is Quinny, and your number 7 is Vian Mulder, essentially.
Yeah, that's it. That's
so. Then, in the case of Quinny pulling out, does Calvarena come in or does Ryan Rickleton come in? Or not pulling out, but Quinny leaving the bubble to go be with
12 months ago, it was Kyle. 100%, without a doubt. Kyle, always down the road. He's the guy. He's averaging 50 for the Cobras, without a doubt. Now, it's Ryan. Now it's Ryan. Ryan is Ryan. Kyle has not taken his chances enough. He's only a little bits here and there. And I just think that at the moment, in terms of form, in terms of where he is in his game, I just think that Ryan at the moment, and I actually think I'm starting to wonder if Ryan, this is very small, I started to wonder if Ryan maybe is a better keeper. But it's not a big thing. It's not a big thing. I'm just starting to watch. I watched him when he was keeping with the lines and stuff. So I just think that at the moment for me it's Ryan. Ryan gets the nod. Plus you get an extra left hand batsman. So it's a nice change up. Yeah, like for like. So that also helps. Variety in the batting order. So yeah, for me, it's Ryan.
What do you say to Kyle in that instance? Do you say that he needs to make the side as a middle order batsman and try and push one of those three out?
Both of them have to make the side as batsmen. Both of them should be told, listen, Quinton's here for the next 10 years. Whether you like it or not, Quinton is here for the next 10 years, barring, shocking form that he dropped off a clip or something. But he's essentially there for the next...
He's spending.
Yeah. So now you have to get him there as a batsman. That middle order is anything but concrete. It is anything but settled. So both of them could be in a middle order easily, 4 and 5. There was a situation that they could both be in there. They're both good enough as batsmen to do it. They both need to prove it. I know for a fact that Kyle knows that. Kyle knows that if he wants to be a fixture at the Proteas, in either format, he has to score the runs. He knows that. He's been told, listen, score runs. I don't know about Ryan, but I know that Kyle's been told, score runs, and the middle order spot can become available.
Okay, one final topic on this Proteas side. Actually, two more. One last thing. A comment from Werner. He says, if Jan Mulder gets injured, they'll probably bring in Marco Janssen, even if he's not seen as a proper all-rounder. What do you say to that?
No. Look. It's quite possible because of what the squad is, and there's no Dwayne.
There's no other. There's no Dwayne Pretorius. There's no Delano Potgieter,
which is wild. And you got 21 and you don't have two all-rounders. It's crazy. Look, if that happens, then God help us. Honestly. I mean, I like the guy, and he has potential with the bat. I've said it before, he has potential, but he is a fast bowler who has potential with the bat. That's what he is. Yeah. He might be something different in 3 years' time. He might be. But that's not where he is now. Where he is now, he's a premier fast bowler who has ability with the bat. He's not an all-rounder.
He's a number 8. He can't bat in the top 6. Whereas George Linder, who can give you that option, I just know South African spin at home, like guys know. Because effectively George Linder would be a batsman coming in, so that wouldn't make any sense. Because you need someone to turn to bowl. So it has to go to Dwayne. It has to go to Delano. And is it over for Dwayne Pretorius in the red ball? Because he played in that England series before COVID. But after that, yes, he had COVID. He was injured and everything. But after that, he hasn't been in the test squads. And that's disappointing for me because he's your stopgap if Vian is injured.
Look, they've put all their eggs in one basket, haven't they? They've said to Vian, you're the all-rounder, do it for us. My worry, particularly in this series against this Indian bowling attack, he's not going to do it. That's my worry. I'm very, very concerned about Vian as a batsman. I think he might be very useful in the bowling department. I think his bowling is coming up in leaps and bounds. It's improved in the 4-day series. My worry is the batting. And he is a batting all-rounder. That's what he is.
Yes.
That's what he should be. Not a bowling all-rounder, not a Dwayne Pretorius. He should be a batting all-rounder. So the fact that Dwayne is not in the squad, not being spoken about, does suggest that perhaps, listen, Dwayne, you can come to Australia next year for the T20 World Cup. Absolutely. But it looks like his test career is certainly 3/4 of the door is closed. Yeah, certainly that. Yeah, more closed than
Who else
open.
do we have domestically who can be that batting all-rounder?
Would you do? This is what you have to say to a guy. Listen, we know you're not ready, but we believe in you. This is where we don't have guys coming out of the woodworks just saying I'm here. This is what you need to say to Delano. Listen, Delano, I know you like to hit the ball, but we need you to be a little bit more patient in this format. We need you to make the runs count. This is what we believe in you. We've got great talent, but you need to be making 80s and 90s, 100s. You can't be making 30s or 40 balls. You can't be doing that. We need to. So he would be an option for me. Definitely. He's definitely got the talent.
Are you disappointed? Are you disappointed Wesley Marshall's not there? Okay.
I want him in the ODIs. So if it's in the ODIs, then no, then that's fine. That's fine.
So we got a comment from Werner. He says maybe the next batting all-rounder would be someone like Ruan de Swart if he finds some consistency. Yes. Does Ruan de Swart bowl medium paces?
Medium paces
yes,
is another option, but it needs to be more consistent. Again, consistency
what
is
does
the
Jason
problem with our
Smith
all-rounders.
bowl? But Jason Smith doesn't bowl anymore. He went to Durban and he stopped bowling. Okay, anyway, final question, the big question before we go into to do 5 minutes on India. Who are your starting 3 quicks at Centurion?
KG, Anna, Olafere. Done.
Ooh.
Sealed.
Ooh,
It's not
I
even
disagree with it.
It's not even a debate. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it's not a debate.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, we know about the COVID situation.
Mm-hmm.
We've just watched England get trounced in the Ashes. They've gone into this test match completely undercooked with no overs, no games whatsoever. Ngidi has had no cricket. Zero cricket.
4 months now.
If there's one thing that you have to have, and this has been said by lots of people, bowlers have to have overs behind them. They have to have. If you can bowl 1 million balls to the nets, it does not replace match balls. It does not replace that. I like Ngidi. Ngidi is a good test bowler. In this situation, I do not pick him. My worry is that South Africa are going to pick him, and we're going to have a situation where he's going to possibly, I hope not, touch what he doesn't, do a Stokes.
Going to break down.
Do a Stokes. I've said it. I've just said do a Stokes and be half fit, and then so you need to have overs behind you. So that's why those 2 bowlers for me, KG, Anna, Olafere, overs behind them. Cricket.
But KG hasn't bowled since the World Cup. Anna hasn't bowled since the World Cup. They're all in the same boat as Lungi. The only difference is that they bowled how many overs? 4 times 7, 4 times 5, 20 overs in a tournament.
That's still overs. It's not ideal. We would desperately need an inter-squad game. We've said that already. We desperately need that inter-squad game. We're not going to get it. But for me, still, those are my 3 bowlers. I wouldn't be picking Ndidi.
Isn't that one-dimensional? Because you've got KG coming in at a quick pace. You've got Anna and Duan just being the enforcers. Don't you need somebody who can... I know Bian does it well, but don't you need someone else who's like a Vern who can find that line of length? Because that's my big worry about having Duan and Anna in the same squad.
I get that. Duan is not the Duan of 2019. He is a different bowler. Anna is the enforcer in this situation. Anna is the guy who's going to be bowling short, fast, in at the ribs, whereas Dwan is going to be bowling a fuller length, hitting the top of off stump, with the occasional bouncer, a couple and over. But because he's the quickest of the three, he's going to be putting fear into the Indian batters. I predict if he's picked. So I get that, but you have to realize that Dwan is a different bowler. He's not the 2019 guy who just pitches.
No, I agree. Wicket. I agree with you.
So that's why I don't think that is a problem as such.
Okay.
And also, if Bian continues with his bowling as well, then we've got a nice medium pace seamer, which is a good change up. So no, yeah, lack of variety is not a problem for me at the moment.
And
I would love Marco in there as well, but we can't be too big. No.
Okay.
No, we have to have. No, but
yeah, I just lost you a little bit there, Tim. But who's taking the new ball? Is it Heinrich or is it Dwan?
Dwan.
Okay.
Dwan.
I agree. Because when I started the podcast, I was leaning Lungi. But you've given me the reasons behind that, and it's largely a fitness thing. But also, Dwan's just he's caused a lot of trouble for a lot of teams, and he's the reason why the Lions are where they are, having bowled out every team for under 180 in the 8 innings that they've bowled. So he helps you take 20 wickets a lot quicker than a Lungi who hasn't had a lot of match practice. Tato agrees with you. So, Tim, I will defer to your thing. I just was worried. The other question I had was, who takes the new ball? Do you want Dwan to bowl with the older ball, or do you want Heinrich? So if Dwan's going to take the new ball with KG, that's going to be something else. It's going to be beautiful. I'm excited now. I really am. Now, let's move over to the Indian Test squad. This is the Indian Test squad. Couple of changes. Shabnam Gill isn't in the squad. Ravi Jadeja isn't in the squad. They both are injured. And there's one other person who's
Akshar Patel.
Akshar Patel has been, but he's been dropped. Like, we knew that Akshar wasn't he wasn't gonna bowl away. He's like the third spinner. So you've got Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, Mayank Agarwal, Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, Shreyas Iyer, Hamuna Vihari, Rishabh Pant, Vriddhiman Saha, Ravi Ashwin, Jayant Yadav, Ishan Sharma, Mohammad Shami, Umesh Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah, Shardul Thakur, and Mohammad Siraj. Looking at the squad, Tim, what do you think? Can they conquer the final frontier?
It's a strong squad. Let's get that out of the way. It's a very strong squad. It's got a bowling attack that could easily compete with ours. I think ours is slightly better, but it is still an exceptional bowling lineup. My worry from their perspective is Jadeja not being there. He is the glue of that side between the top order and the lower order.
Is it from a batting perspective or a bowling perspective?
Both. Probably batting slightly more than the bowling, but his bowling record is exceptional. People look at Ashwin and think, oh, well, Jadeja's record as a bowler is out of this world.
Away from home as well. He's very good away from home.
So I just think that they might be missing something there. It's a huge miss.
Would you not have, knowing Jadeja's out, brought in an Akshar Patel as cover for Ravi Ashwin in case Ravi Ashwin at Centurion comes up with a very bad batting game? Because my worry with this Indian squad is that they'll go 4 seamers, 1 spinner, and 6 batsmen. And that number 7 spot, Jadeja's done well because he scores you those half centuries and everything else. Akshar Patel, in my eyes, I think is a better batsman than Jadeja. And he's not a better bowler than both of them. It's an inverted pyramid, right? Ashwin's in the mid. Ashwin is, so if you wanted to pick out of those 3 spinners who the better batsman was, it is Jadeja, Ashwin. Better batsman. It's Akshar Patel, Jadeja, and Ashwin. Other way around, from a bowling perspective, it's Jadeja, I think, away from home. I think he's taken that mantle. Ashwin second and Akshar Patel third. But Akshar gives you something a little bit more from a batting perspective. But he had an injury. He wasn't available to be picked. Werner said confirm that. Because I was thinking about that. I was like, wait, there's a reason why he's not there. Cool. Yeah. So let's move on. We've got that Jadeja issue. The batting side of it, you're worried about Virat Kohli's form and that middle order. Are you worried now after New Zealand?
Yes, I am. Particularly what's happened recently. He's lost the captaincy of the ODI side. Now, look, Virat Kohli is a very confident individual. He breathes on believing in himself. But I wonder if something like that might not just be at the back of his mind. You know what? I've given you guys so much, and you're just somewhere chopping me from the captaincy, just like that. I find that a little bit strange. The other worry I have is this: outside of him and Pat, there's nobody there really that's gonna put fear in the eyes of the South African bowlers. Take the attack to the bowlers. The Pujaras and the Bahanis.
Sharma and KL Rahul had a great time in England this recently.
Yeah, they did. My worry is that from their perspective, they might find themselves boxed into a corner where we get Virat Kohli out early and we get Pant out early and they don't move. We saw they brought in Fahari into the squad. Now, Fahari scored runs against us in the series in the A series, but he scored them hell ever slowly. He scored them really, really slowly. He looks good at the crease, but my worry is there's nobody there. Right, okay, so if Kohli doesn't do it, then what happens? My worry is they're going to get stuck in that corner, boxed in, with nowhere to go, and it's just going to be a barrage of Rabada, Duran, and company. So that's my worry. There's no sort of Verinder Sehwag. They need a Verinder Sehwag at the top of the order to just light the fire.
But and that's what I look at it, and I look at Rohit Sharma, and I know Rohit Sharma in South Africa has really struggled. But in England, he averaged 52. KL Rahul did well. He averaged 39 in England, which is no slouch. I think those two can add it. The only problem they have is at the top of the order. Mayank Agarwal, or between those three, who do you open? I would open with Agarwal and Rahul and bring Rohit Sharma into that middle order for that reason of yours or where it's going to stick. My other question with this team is: do they go with Saha? Or do they go with Rishabh Pant? I think you've answered that. You said Rishabh Pant, but that's the other question that this team has because you might want a better gloveman behind the stumps to take those half chances than have that extra batting. Where do you sit on that?
I love a good keeper. You know me. I love a Ben Foakes, a Ben Foster. I love a good keeper. But I'd be very surprised if India went that way. Yeah. I would be very surprised if they went with Saha against New Zealand because they wanted to keep Pant back. I'd be very surprised if they didn't pick Pant. And I would. And even the situation, they're going to need as many runs as possible. Against this bowling attack of South Africa's, the runs are more important in this situation.
But what about their bowling attack as well? Jasper Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Mohammad Shami, as well as either one of Umesh Yadav or I'm assuming it is Ishant in that squad. I just want to check. Yeah, Ishant Sharma. So they have a very formidable attack that gave England a lot of problems away from home. Yes, they fell flat in that final, but I'm looking at that. That's where this series falls and lies, is on how well the Indian fast bowlers do. Because if they do very well, India will win. Because yes, you can say South Africa's bowling attack is great, but our batting is the worry. And if this bowling attack can do well there against our batting lineup, then India have a chance, and they have a massive chance. So, Tim, final words on the series. Where do you think it's gonna? Well, we'll talk about that as we go along. But who's the one Indian player that you think needs to have a great series for India to win? That's not Bumrah and that's not Kohli.
And not Kohli. Can you show me the squad again?
Sure.
I think it would be very interesting to see if Shraya Iyer does as well here as he did against the New Zealanders. I think if he does as well, if he does that attack approach that he did against the Kiwis, then we are in trouble. I think if Shraya Iyer does well here, if he averages 40 for the series, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
For me,
yeah.
For me, it's Mohammad Siraj. I know from a batting perspective you mentioned Shreyas Iyer, but Mohammad Siraj, he needs to take the mantle as India's number 2 bowler behind Jasprit Bumrah. He did well in England. That average is a tad high, so he does go for some runs. He played all 4 games in that England tour. So him and Bumrah were the only 2 bowlers who did. So I look at Siraj, I'm like, yeah, you're the guy who needs to support Bumrah in taking those 20 wickets. Over and above all the others, he's the one. He needs to be up there with Bumrah. If Bumrah's flat, he's not. And he's got the energy, and he showed that against New Zealand. So, Tim, let's get to the end of our show. We've got 2 more. We've got 2 more comments I want to show. First one is from Werner. He's talking about the vice captaincy. He says, Bavuma is probably unlikely to take over from Alga. Don't you guys think that the long-term option of Aiden Markham should have been made vice captain of the test team? All I'm going to say, Werner, is go watch the SJN, the last 30 minutes, last hour of the SJN with Jacques Fall. He explains exactly how Timber became, they made Timber. It gives you an inclination into what they were thinking about making Timber captain. They realized, and I think Timber deserved it, but they somehow realized that they were whitewashing cricket, and one of the only ways they could give a perception that they're not is doing that. And I didn't like it in the first place. I don't know why the reasoning is behind making Timber vice captain, outside of the fact that he is a leader in the side and he's a very strong leader in the side. But from a long-term perspective, I agree with you. That's what that's essentially what I thought. Aiden was the guy I thought was going to be made vice captain, but going through that SJN, I kind of was like, oh, so is this why you guys made Timber captain? So essentially, yeah, that and that shocked me, but I actually wasn't surprised because I know how it's been at CSA for the past couple of years.
I'll just very, very short. I'm happier if Aiden is just focusing on batting. I'm much happier. Yeah. If he's only focuses batting, I'm happier that way.
Yeah. The other thing is, and that's not saying that Timber doesn't deserve to be in the side. I just wanted to. It kind of feels like you're hamstringing, like with the T20 and the ODI format. You're hamstring. It feels like everyone thinks that they're hamstringing themselves, but I know Boucher's a coach who likes loyal players over and above their form, which is why he'll always keep on selecting Heino Klaasen. So it's one of those situations where he trusts Timber and he wants Timber to be in there, regardless of what the situation may be. And largely because I know this is a series for Timber. This is Timber's series. This is written for Timber. The Proteas is going to be like 100 for 4, and it'll be Timber and Quinny scoring the next 150 runs to get you to 250, enough for Dwan Pretorius to bowl them out for 100. So 180, give you a 70-run lead. Then you can dominate. Aiden and Dean can dominate on day 3, and then we bowl them out on day 4, and we go home. That's essentially how I see this series going. This is a big series for Timber. I think this is the one for him. He's the man when South Africa's in a crisis, and South Africa will definitely be in a crisis across all 3 matches. Last one from Afzal. He just was saying that he wanted to come see me in Zimbabwe because his house was right there, but he wasn't well. So, yeah. But Afzal, next time I'm in Zimbabwe, hopefully I'll be there for the T20 men's qualifiers, the second half of the T20 men's qualifiers. So that's a good thing. Outside of that, Tim, any final words?
2-1 South Africa.
Yes. 2-1 South Africa. There's not going to be any draws. That I can tell you. That I can tell you now. So it's going to be good because we haven't even opened up our World Test Championship situation. So yeah, it's going to be tight. I think that Newlands one's going to be very interesting because India might go with a second spinner, with 3 quicks and a second spinner. That's going to be quite interesting from how South Africa does it. I think that's the one India win, but I think South Africa win the first 2. But outside of that, thank you very much. We'll be back next week, probably discussing more India-South Africa things or other things that have happened in South African cricket, or maybe even the Ashes, because I like watching England get punished by Australia. So, yeah, we could do that, but we'll be back next week. Thank you very much for joining us. It has been a slightly longer podcast, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good night.